時間なんて気にしない気分は最高だけどびっくり世界がどう
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 4 of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Denji Sentai Megaranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J, and with me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. I'm kind of beat today, actually. The kids got up at they just woke up at 5:30 and just were awake. And so, yeah, which is they used to do that periodically when they were younger, and they haven't really done that very much recently. They've been kind of in a 7 o'clock-ish zone when they've been waking up, and I was not prepared to wake up at 5:30.
You were not in that zone?
I was not in that zone. And so it has been
Dave?
a little bit of a long day, Matt. But aside from that, I'm actually pretty good. The sun was out today, which was amazing, and it's warmed up a tiny bit. I'm hoping that we're finally kind of through the end of winter.
I think we are. I've been sort of peeking ahead at the forecasts for the upcoming week, and it's mostly 40s, 50s. There is no more we had snow the other day,
yeah,
and that was bad.
A few days in a row. It was very bad.
I did genuinely have because okay, the sort of the quarantine times started when it was still cold out.
Yeah.
Here, we had some nice days early on, but it was regularly cold at that point.
Yeah.
And I had this brief, just split second moment when I woke up and there was snow on the ground that somehow time had no meaning and I was back at the beginning of the quarantine.
You had just
time.
looped on it, yeah.
Right, all of the 5-6 weeks that it has been since the beginning of this was just an illusion, and I was back in early March. So that was a split second, like I said.
No, you're good. It's today's April the 20th. So, Matt, actually, happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mom.
I mean, I'll call you too, but this show should come out tomorrow, which would be your birthday. So
yeah, right on. So Dave, you know what else is nice on top of our mother's birthday? Is episode 4 of Denji Sentai Megaranger. It is called Smash It, Shibolena's Trap. I think the trap is the thing they're trying to smash. I think those statements are related in that way.
Yeah,
it's a tough sentence to parse, or a tough series of sentences to parse. Anyway, but of course, before we get into that, Dave, we have our officially award-winning opening segment. Shining in the heavens, Dave, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
Matt, first star of the week, as it's been the last couple of weeks, it's Isolation Update. Isolation Update. So Matt, how's your shelter in place? How's your isolation going, bud?
Well, other than the half second where I lost track of the time,
that's a big one though. That is big. That's a big moment, I feel like.
Well, Dave, here I think it's sort of emblematic is that mostly it's been okay this week. And then there was that one weird moment. It goes in it's at this point it is mostly plateaued with these weird peaks of extreme emotional upset and then back to basically normal.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. I actually have pretty big news regarding Isolation Update. The Governor DeWine, still crushing it by the way, has announced that schools will not be meeting in session for the remainder of this academic year. And possibly even a limited in-person attendance at the beginning of next year, kind of depending on how things go.
Uh-huh.
And so what that means is that because of course school's only until the end of May, Like,
Right,
there's
and-
only 5 weeks of school left anyway, or 6 weeks of school left anyways, and then there's summer vacation. And so what that means is that I will not be in the school building for 6 months.
That's a long time.
It's a very long time. Although I was actually thinking about this earlier, I feel like there are ways in which having summer vacation has prepared me a little bit for this. Like, obviously during summer vacation, normally we can get out a lot more, but I am very accustomed to having extended periods of time where, like, I'm just home.
Uh-huh.
And like, I do have work right now. Like, I'm grading stuff online and all of that. But obviously, like, the time commitment is just less, like, logically speaking, right? Like, you know, I have planning periods every day, and there's like half an hour every day that's just kids going to and from classes. So like, when you cut out all of that stuff, and then if you cut out the idea that, like, you know, I don't have 75 kids in a single classroom, so if I'm giving a lecture, say, I have to give that exact same lecture 3 times. Normally.
Right,
You know, but like, now I just record the lecture and the kids can kind of watch it wherever. So like, there are parts of, like I said, I'm still doing my job. Just like, there are certain ways in which it's actually dramatically more efficient doing it this way. And so I have more time.
Are
in a day
you,
than I would
when
normally
you
have.
record lectures, are you recording video too or just audio?
No, what I normally do is, this is really, I record short PowerPoint presentations. I was doing full ones, and I was able to look at my YouTube analytics and realize that the kids were not watching the whole videos. So now I'm keeping them like 5 minutes or less, but I do a like a PowerPoint presentation, so you can be like reading it and listening to it sort of at the same time.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
So you have sort of turned your classes into a series of webisodes?
Yeah, kind of, with like online work, of course.
Sure.
And so,
Hopping on that Quibi train, Dave?
okay, Matt, I gotta say, I don't like QB, and Beth told me that that's not how you pronounce the name, and I don't care, because that's how I feel like it should be pronounced, and I refuse to let them dictate the terms of our engagement. But Matt, I did see an advertisement that they did the Most Dangerous Game starring Liam Hemsworth and Christoph Waltz.
Really?
Yeah.
In 5-minute chunks?
Well, it's not a long story. So like, I can see where that would work, because even for a short story, the Most Dangerous Game actually is fairly episodic. Like, it would work to break it down into like 8 or 9 minute pieces. And I was upset because nothing they've said has made me at all interested. But I was like, Christoph Waltz as the hunter in the Most Dangerous Game, like, that actually sounds extremely good. So I might see if they have some sort of like free trial. But anyways, yeah, I feel like the fact that I have summer vacation has sort of mentally prepared me a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
this.
I have not had a summer vacation since
college, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, the summer after college, I can count sort of as a summer vacation, because I like the following academic year, I had a job in a school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So like that summer, but that was like a summer abroad. That was like a whole other thing. So I haven't really had like a just like be home for a long time since, 2005, 6.
Dude, it's as a lot of people are discovering, it's kind of a weird thing.
Well, but the other thing is like, your job is taking less of your time, you said? That is not the case with my job. My job is, if anything, taking more of my time. Like, I actually took a vacation day today to, like, just sit in my apartment and do nothing, because I realized I hadn't had a day off since all of this started.
Oh, dude, no, that makes a ton of sense. You absolutely should have taken a day off. That was a great call.
So like, yeah, like it, on one hand, it is sort of summer vacation-y, but on the other hand, it is like just crushing amounts of work. So, not exactly summer vacation-y.
Yeah, no, very different. Okay, so Matt, here are my two. Here are the two funny things that I actually have about Isolation Update. Those first things were just like wild things about my life.
Okay.
Here's the two legitimately humorous things about the Isolation Update. So I started working out again. I was just like, dude, I've been meaning to do this. And the twins are kind of finally big enough that like they'll leave you alone for like enough time to like get a workout in. And so I said, well, it's like it's a no equipment necessary like body weight thing, but you can add in some weights if you want. And at first I was like, oh, like I'll get some weights. I wasn't able to get any. I called Dick's Sporting Goods and I was like, hey, do you guys have like just like some dumbbells? And they were like, nope, we do not. We are sold out. Like we are sold out of dumbbells.
Like
and I was
sold out, back ordered. Yeah. Like I saw people selling free weights and like kettlebells on Amazon for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, and I was just like, everybody's staying home. Bunch of people trying to work out at home. Here's the other thing I found out is sold out, Matt. Blue Yeti mics. Yeah, podcast mics are on like super back order. Everybody's getting up in this game. Yeah, I think Isolation's starting to get to people. So I think we're about to start to see like a bumper crop of very new podcasts. Matt, I'm telling you what our second update of the week is.
Dave, what is our second star of the week?
Thanks, Matt. So here's our second star of the week. I think I mentioned a little while ago that the twins, my 3.5-year-old twins, got their own room recently. And I've been waiting for it. I didn't think this was going to come so soon, but it was pretty delicious. The twins were playing in their room, and I walked in, and I was like, what are you doing? And I forget what they were doing, but it was something they shouldn't have been doing. And I said, hey, stop it. And so they stopped. And they said, Abba, that's what they call me, Dad. They're like, Dad, this is like, you need to, like, I forget exactly what they said, but they basically said, like, you need to leave. This is our room. And I just felt like the skies.
Took like 3 weeks for them to do
it did not take long. But I did. I just felt like the skies opened behind me and like 1,000 generations of dads spoke through my mouth. And I was like, you don't have a room. You have a room in my house. And the moment was a little bit spoiled because they're only 3.5. And they're like, no, this is our room, though. So, like, they didn't quite get it, but it did feel amazing to say
it's true. That's fine. I'm sure you'll have plenty of other opportunities.
Yeah, I imagine it'll come up again. Anyways, Matt, what is our third star of the week?
Dave, third star of the week is that the Fallout 76 big new DLC thing finally dropped.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice. Is it actually nice, is the question.
Okay, here's the thing. It's incredibly nice.
Sick. Okay. I haven't played that game in months, so.
Well, neither had I, honestly. I feel like I had sort of hit a plateau. Like I'd finished the main quest and like, I don't know, I could have continued to wander around, but like the main complaint about Fallout 76, other than like buggy stuff, is that when the game launched, there were no human NPCs in the game.
Yeah, I remember it's on one hand, it was very lame because it like diminished the degree of it like playing in the game. On the other hand, I actually thematically it kind of worked because like the world really felt empty.
Well, it felt empty. It was a very isolating game experience, which I'll tell you, recently has not sounded appealing.
Yeah, recently not cool.
But the new DLC is called Wastelanders, and it is a bunch of people returning to the area. So now it's this big, like, open world area that I've gotten very familiar with and very comfortable in. You know, I know what parts to go to, what parts not to go to, like what's dangerous, where I can find the best material, like best supplies, you know, that sort of stuff. And now all of a sudden I'm like going places that I have been 100 times before, and there's just like a new house there. And in that house is a person, and like you can talk to that person, and they'll give you a quest, and you can like just like random like wandering merchants will just like walk past my campsite.
Dude, I feel like that would be
so
extremely
wild.
weird.
It's extremely weird because like the game has for so long been extremely isolating. And then like I myself have been isolated now for like, 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so to all of a sudden have like a bunch of other people in my space is like
even an imaginary digital space.
Right, it's really weird. Like I was very skittish and untrustworthy of like people when they first started showing up.
No, dude, as you were saying it, like I can feel it being strange.
Like
you know what I mean?
The overseer has a house. You can go visit her.
Whoa, that is very weird.
There's like a bar with people in it. And it's extremely wild, but it also has made it kind of a whole new game.
Oh, okay, dig it.
Like
That's
if
awesome.
here's a recommendation. If you had like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and
I
you
did.
either did not play or tried to play and sort of immediately bounced off of Fallout 76, give it another shot. It really, I think now is finally the game that people wanted it to be when it was new.
Nice. Hey, if I did log in, would you be able to get me the like a potion for the mutation that lets you jump real high? Because that a thing that you could do? Are you like rich in this game now or what?
I am not super rich. And B, I don't think those potions exist.
No, they definitely do exist. They
do
totally do. Yeah, someone offered to sell me one once, and I've just been like, when I was playing the game, I was just like mutation spamming, trying to get the one that I wanted. It never worked out.
Anyway, yeah. Fallout 76. It's good now. Dave, what is our fourth star of the week?
So our fourth star of the week, Matt, is Thursday nights before this whole shebang hit. I was getting together with some buddies. We're playing Starfinder, which I think I mentioned, and we're not doing that now, obviously. And so we were like, what can we do to still sort of like hang out in a way? And so buddy Bill, he's been on the show, has been hosting movie nights, like remote movie nights. And so we've just been watching terrible movies. So we watched a movie called The FP, sort of legendarily bad. We watched the sequel to The FP, which also very bad. But like in a, what are they called? Troa films? The sort of like, trauma, thank you. In a very like trauma sort of way. Like bad, but they sort of knew that they were bad and schlocky. And so that was like fun. This past Thursday, a couple of days ago, we watched a movie called The Miami Connection. And it is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Now, the Miami Connection is sort of a legendarily bad movie.
It is legendarily bad.
Like, I've never seen Miami Connection, but I'm familiar with it because it is a sort of popular movie topic of bad movie podcasts. There's a very good reason. It really straddles the line between like, oh, this movie is bad, but like it's so bad, like you can still have some fun watching it. It really straddles the line between that and like being genuinely unwatchable. It's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's about a Taekwondo themed band called Dragon Sound, and they get into a sort of like weird gang fight with a group of bikers by day and ninjas by night who are drug smugglers. And they primarily are in this gang fight because one of the members of Dragon Sound is dating the sister of a dude that sells cocaine with the biker ninjas. And I just want to say, I know you're listening to the sentences that came out of my mouth and thinking to yourself, yeah, that
wow,
rules.
That movie sounds like it rules. No, the movie that you have invented in your head in the last 30 seconds it's a universe is better than the movie that actually exists. I just want to assure you of that. It's so, like, you could watch it, I guess. You just need to know it's so bad. It's just really astonishingly terrible.
We've also been watching some movies with producer Mark and a few of our other college friends. We've been getting together via... Is this how you're doing with Bill? Are you doing like a Discord screen share thing?
Yeah, precisely.
We've been doing that as well. We watched Cats the other day.
Cats was so bad.
It
was better than the Miami Connection.
What I realized about Cats the next day, and I think I tweeted this, but I don't know if you saw it, Dave, is that Cats is like professional wrestling if there were no matches and it was just entrance music and like people cutting promos on each other and then moving to the next thing without resolving it at all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The thing, I was just uncomfortable with like the general level of horniness in that movie.
Oh, it was high. It was very high.
Those cats were just extremely horny cats. It was very uncomfortable.
Dave, you know what is comfortable? Is our 5th star of the week.
It's so comfortable, Matt. It's so relaxed and like chill and comforting. And in a very like basic primal way, it's just like nice TV cooking stuff and food stuff.
Specifically, I had started watching the Bon Appetit YouTube channel sort of right before like shelter in place stuff began, like before I just stopped going out ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there is a large back catalog of it, and they're continuing to produce it, even though they are now like doing it from their homes, which is fun. But I have just been like watching, like digging into a ton of these Bon Appetit videos, and in particular, last night I was watching a series of them. I think it's called like One of Everything, or Everything on the Menu, or something like that, where Alex Delaney, who is I think their drinks editor. Anyway, he and another person from the test kitchen will go to a New York restaurant, order one of everything on the menu, take one bite of each, and then like the rest of it gets like, you know, cut up and handed out to the crew and stuff who are also there working, and just like go through an entire menu and talk about it.
Oh, there is a similar, there's a channel called The Try Guys, and they do basically that same thing, but they do it with like trash fast food.
Okay, there was a podcast called The Doughboys that I think is also a fast food themed thing. Anyway, but this Everything on the Menu show, like I don't know if I think it's really nice because like just in general I like seeing stuff like that, or if in particular I'm just so starved for the idea of eating in restaurants that watching it is just like scratching an itch that I cannot otherwise scratch.
No, I definitely get you. We've been watching a short series. It's from Epicurious. It's called 4 Levels. And really it's 3 levels and then somebody like talks about it. But they pick a dish and they pick like somebody who is a total amateur, somebody who's sort of like a home chefy person, like, oh, I'm not a chef, but I really like to cook, and then an actual professional chef. And they say like, all right, make nachos or like make hot dogs or something. And then they sort of like, each person goes through how they make the thing. And here's what I'm discovering. The person who's at the very bottom, like the total amateur, is almost always great. Because they're like, I don't know, man, we're making burritos. I'm making a cheesy egg burrito because I like it. And they enjoy making a cheesy egg burrito. The chefs are kind of hit or miss. Sometimes they get like a little too chefy and they're not terribly interesting, but sometimes like they're really great and very interesting. The people in the middle almost universally suck to watch because they're very obviously like people who really are like trying to be chefy in their own homes. And so they're just doing like weird stuff that you think you're like, why would you do that? And then also they're the people that are the most like YouTube-y, if that describer makes sense. And I'm like, oh man, you're really harshing like the chill, mellow vibe of this thing. Where I'm watching like a chill dude make a burrito and a person who's very good at making burritos make a burrito. And you're neither extremely chill or very good at making burritos. So like, I'm just not terribly interested.
Anyway, so honestly, I was going to say that sort of wraps back into Isolation Update, that we've been spending a lot of time watching these things, but hey, that's our life now. Everything is Isolation Update.
Hey!
Except, Dave, for this show that was created well before the isolation began, and today we are watching episode 4 of it, Smash It, Shibolena's Trap. Its original air date was March 7th, 1997. It was written by Naruhisa Arakawa. So I think it's the first episode that is not written by the main showrunner for the season. We're going to take a break. We're going to watch it, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. So, episode 4.
Dude, Megaranger is not letting up. This is an extreme... we keep saying it, so I feel a little dopey keep saying it episode after episode. This is an extremely good episode.
Yeah, very good. I was a little worried because, as I said, it was the first episode that was not written by the same dude. So I was like, oh, well, maybe it's just that guy. But no, so far... I mean, listen, we are on episode 4, so, like, it hasn't had that long of a time to establish a pattern, but for what it has done, it is very good.
Yeah, it's extremely strong. So we open up, and we're at Moriboshi High School, and Koichiro is walking past the biolab. Da-da-dun, very clear foreshadowing. And then we go into the lab, and we see a teacher, presumably, and she hears, like, some weird laughter. That's strange. Unusual. And then a hand just goes ahead and reaches right out of her computer screen and grabs her in the face.
Yes.
And she screams. End scene.
Go back to Koichiro, who has reached the digital club.
Actually, man, that reminds me of a story. I was on a teleconference call with some of my colleagues, and we were like talking about school stuff, and then the call was wrapping up, and my kids were talking and like yelling in the background, and one of my colleagues, she said, "Dave, I'm just going to go ahead and assume those are your kids." And I said, "Oh, yeah, those are definitely my kids. For the purposes of the story, you need to know that none of the colleagues that are on this call have children." And I said, yeah, those are definitely my kids. If anybody on this call hears children talking in their house, you need to leave immediately. Do not just go. God, quarantine, be darned, you need to leave. You're going to be haunted. You're getting haunted real bad. So anyways, so we go from there. Now, the conference call that I was on.
Right, we cut to the computer lab, which is like seems to be there. I mean, they are like the high school's digital club. And I guess this is like their hangout room.
I think there's like a sign on the door that says Digital Research Club. I think they have like their own room for this club that has like their own stuff in it. Sort of like the AV club. Well, like a lot of schools, like the AV club has like their own closet and everything. I get the impression, because like no one else is ever in there with them. But like there are very obviously like other people at the school, so that's the vibe they get. I don't think it's just like the computer lab.
It is that would be a nice solution for the problem that like they kind of need a headquarters, but their headquarters is in space and they go to high school, and so they need to have a spot where they can hang out. Like they need a spot they can hang out where like people can't overhear them talking about superhero stuff, and also the show needs a set for them to be on.
Yes, yeah, it definitely does. Dude, do you remember when we were in high school? I can't even remember their names, but there were these two dudes, and they ran like the AV for stuff for our school. And in the early years of we went to a small private school, and we went there kind of like early on. And so there was a lot of like weirdly unsupervised stuff. And these dudes just built themselves like a secret hangout above the AV closet, like in the rafters of the school, and would just kind of like disappear there when they wanted to like chill out.
Yeah, it was Aaron and Luke, I think.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that is totally correct.
I did not realize I was going to remember those names until I started talking.
That is wild. And also I can tell you, as a teacher, and especially like a teacher who's involved in theater, if you're in high school and you want to be able to do that sort of thing, like Tech Crew is the group that you want to be in, because they do all sorts of weird stuff, and like not even the rest of the teachers really quite know what they do. And so they have a lot of freedom to just be like wandering around places where you do not think students should be. So if that's your goal, Tech Crew is where you want to find yourself.
See, you and I had a much more low tech version of creating a room to escape to, which
We
was
did.
just during, I forget what year it was. But again, our high school is really small. And so what would happen was, like, instead of there being like multiple gym classes, there was just like high school guys gym class and high school girls gym class.
Yeah.
But high school guys gym class was during the same period as band. And you and I were both in band. And so you, me, and like 3 or 4 other guys, they were like, oh, well, the solution for this is that you will just go to high school girls gym class instead.
Because, like, you need gym credit.
Yeah, like, you need gym credit, and, like, we can't do, like, a separate class just for you 5. So there is a gym class, you can attend it. But the teacher did not ever remember that we were supposed to be there.
Yes.
Because, like,
correct.
it didn't make sense for us to be there. So, like, when it wasn't, like, snowing out or whatever, there was just this one tree outside the school building that had, like, low, easily climbable branches and
And
thick
it was
leaves.
like heavily foliaged.
Yes.
So like if you were in the tree, no one would know you were there.
Yeah, and it was just like a secret tree. And so instead of going to gym class, we would just clamber up into this tree and sit there and like kind of keep an ear out to like listen for the bell, and then climb down out of the tree and walk back into the school building and go on with our day.
Yeah, we got, and I just want to say that we got, I feel, an excellent education. It was just a very loosey-goosey in many ways, but I think of that as a positive.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know who's not loosey-goosey, Matt, is Koichiro.
No.
Because they walk into the Digital Research Club, and Koichiro, he says, guys, I figured it out. We've been we've been way too chill about this. We need a schedule. And so he busts out this chart that he has made, and he says, guys, all we have to do is follow this chart. I've basically laid out a schedule for every waking minute that we have to maximize our performance as Megarangers. And he starts like going through the schedule. He's like, you got to get up at 6:15, 6:30 you're doing push-ups, like 6:50 you got to get to school because you don't want to be late.
Oh, Dave, sorry, before they get to the school, they have to all meet in the park to pick up litter on their way to school.
He says, we'll pick up trash on our way through the park. And then he's kind of going on, like he's going into more detail about the schedule. As he's doing this, the other Rangers, he's entranced. He is not looking at the other Rangers.
Right, he is at this point turned around and is just looking at his own poster and reading it, like with a huge smile on his face.
He loves this schedule. The other Rangers are behind him, but they're like, dude, we're not doing this. Like, this is, even Shun is like, this is crazy. We're not doing this.
Shun doesn't have time, Dave. His life is planned out with the precision of a computer program. He does not have time for all of Koichiru's micromanagement.
Yeah, and so they all sort of sneak out quietly. So the next thing we get is we're back in the biology room, and Koichiru is sort of wandering around, like looking for the other Rangers with I don't think he says it, but he's got a very like, come on, guys, look on his face.
Yeah.
And he goes and he's like, maybe I was a little hard on them.
Like, maybe we should only be doing 25 push-ups instead of 30. So he walks past the biology lab and he hops in because he sees the teacher, Miss Nishiyama.
Yes.
And she is just like standing in a like spookily lit room, like staring into a fish tank full of dead fish, just like blankly staring at it.
Yeah.
And he rolls in. He's like, "Hey,
what's up with those? What's up with those dead fish, though?
How you doing?" She sort of like snaps out of her trance and she's like, "Oh, Koichiro, yeah, I don't know. I just sort of wandered over here and they were all dead. It's kind of wild."
Like real crazy. But then we look down and we see that her hand is dripping water. And Koichiro's like, oh, okay, cool. I am going to run, but I will catch you later. So he leaves and he meets up with the rest of the Rangers. And he sort of like lays this out. He's like, this is very weird. I'm not sure what's going on, but like her hand was all wet and those fish were definitely like not in the water and also definitely dead. And Kenta's like, come on, man. Like, that teacher, she's very chill. She's very nice. She's also kind of cute. Not appropriate, Kenta. He's like,
listen,
you're nuts.
She is not my teacher, so I can say it. Yeah, she's cute.
You can say it.
Yeah.
So anyways, Ko is like, no, I'm telling you guys, there's something going on. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, she definitely killed these fish, and it's very weird.
So Kent is like, listen, if you were this concerned about it, I will go talk to her. And Koichiro is like, well, if you go talk to her, maybe she's going to do something to you if you go by yourself. And Kent is like, listen, stop trying to micromanage everything about all of our lives. I'm going to go talk to her. Everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine. So we go, and it's a really quick shot as we are panning over to the bio room, but I am fairly sure that Ms. Nishiyama tosses something in the garbage can, and what I'm pretty sure it is like a bloody dog collar.
Yeah, I had to watch that once or twice to figure out what was happening, because the first shot that you see, like the camera is just pointing inside the trash can, and you see the collar land, and then it cuts up and you see her. So like my eyes hadn't quite like adjusted to it, so I had to rewind. And yes, that is at least what I have in my notes, is that it's a bloody dog collar.
So Miss Nishiyama definitely just murdered a dog, and Shibolena says like, yes, indulge your twisted soul even more. Like, your next kill basically will be like so much bigger and more intense.
So Kenta rolls in. Oh yeah, because Shibolena is still like talking to her through the computer screen.
Sorry, we never actually say the hand that reaches through is Shibolena's hand. This is some sort of like whacked out mind control thing.
And it's also some whacked out computer control, because like the computer monitor will turn to face things in the room so that Shibolena can see what's happening. So Kenta rolls in, and again, Miss Nishiyama like snaps out of her trance, and she's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Like, what's going on? What can I do for you?" And Kenta just gets like distracted by her being cute. Like, and either he never had a plan for actually saying anything to her, or he immediately forgot the plan as soon as he entered the room.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, gosh, this is sort of weird." And then Shibolena watches him, and she's like, Kenta actually tells her to her face, he's like, "Oh, you're pretty cute." And she sort of like takes his hand and then like grabs his shoulders and like kind of like twists and throws him around on the table. And you can see in Kenta's face that he's like, "I'm not sure what's going on, and I think it's probably wrong, but also I am fairly into it."
Yeah.
And then he shifts immediately away from that because she tries to strangle him and then pulls out a scalpel.
Yeah, and he can't get her off of him because she is like possessed of like supernatural strength at this point.
Yeah.
Because she has gotten internet cursed.
Yeah, so the rest of the Rangers arrive, like they dive in. She sort of like hurls with her like weirdo strength. She like hurls Ko across the room. He gets knocked out. They see Shibolena on the computer screen, and Kenta's like, "Oh, it's the computer," and he just like hucks a stool at it, which breaks the computer and works.
Yeah. And so Miss Nishiyama just like faints immediately.
Yeah.
We cut and we don't see her again for the rest of the episode, which frankly is probably for the best, because
yeah, that's cool. She's definitely losing her job.
Yeah, well, if nothing else, she's got to process some stuff.
She's gonna need a minute. So we go. They get a call from Dr. Kubota, and he says, "Figured it out. It's the internet." This is a very weird take in my mind for a show that is about like the wonders of modern technology, because Dr. Kubota is like, "Yup, it's the internet. There's been all sorts of like whacked out crimes recently, and it's all the culprits are all people who are obsessed with the internet."
Well, okay, so I don't think that he's saying that like just being on the internet is bad. I think that he's saying that being on the internet has exposed them to something that is causing them to do this.
Yeah, like, okay, he uses the phrase obsessed with the internet. It's not, Yeah, he's like, I think presumably just like if you're on the internet more, you're gonna be I don't know. The point is he's like, this is how this is happening, basically. Like the internet is the vector by which the Nezare are doing this. We go from there to their weird, like, twisty dimension digi fortress of the Nezare. And they're like, Hidalar, how's it going? And Shibolena is on Earth, and she says, it's going great. This plan is working super duper well. Everybody's flipping out. I've got Chameleon Nezare here with me. He's doing like the camera work. And there's like a weird, he's got kind of like a dragony look more than a chameleon-y look. But he also has like an integrated like video camera. And then he shoots his tongue out, and on his tongue is like a 10-pin port.
It's a VGA plug.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name for VGA. And he like plugs into a computer, and then like the video that he's taken with his like shoulder camera is like transmitted through his tongue onto the internet, and that is how they're mind controlling people.
It's extremely good.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's also as someone who was using like computers in 1997, just like seeing that style of hardware interaction get turned into like a super monster was very hilarious to me.
Yeah. So
I feel like those VGA ports were used for monitors like until HD cables. For some, like that was one thing that just stuck around forever.
Oh, dude, they're still being used.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, like the computer lab, like at the high school that I work at, is connected with those. That hasn't gone anywhere. So she's like, yes,
Why is that
we
the
are using
one plug that is not changed. I feel like everything else is either a USB. I mean, like I said, like some of them are
maybe
done
they're
with HD
USB
cables
now. I don't know. Anyway, Shibolena says we're using the internet to spread our Nezare education, which is a weird word to use. But she's like, chaos and destruction, and we're taking all sorts of evil measures, and we're increasing the kind of general overall evilness of the planet. And they're like, awesome, that is a planet that Lord Dang it, man.
Javius?
It's
Javius.
Javius. That is a planet that Lord Javius would like to rule, because it's filled with evil.
Please don't
Javius the First.
Okay, so we cut to the digital club lab, and Shun has like hacked. He's like found the IP address of the computer that sent sent Shibolena's thing to Miss Nishiyama, and then somehow uses that to find the physical address of the building where the computer is.
That is, yeah, he traces its IP address,
Yeah.
like down to the. That's not actually. I'm not a computer guy, but I think that is actually a thing that you can do.
I think that is a thing that you can do. What probably doesn't happen in real life, especially in 1997, is that there's like a display of a map on the screen that zooms in on a building and then zooms in on a room in the building, and then the word "here" starts blinking on the screen.
Yeah, I don't think that part happens. Shun does get in. He can't stop the hate from flowing through him. He says, yeah, it is pretty amazing that I did it. Would have been a lot easier if some idiot hadn't destroyed the original computer. And they're like,
hey,
listen.
I was acting in the moment.
Kenja's like, we gotta go. And they're like, no, like, we should wait for Ko. He's still resting. And Kenta's like, listen, if we wait for this dude, he's going to be a real drag. He's going to try to micromanage everything. Let's just go kick it. And we'll like defeat these monsters. He's tired anyways. Like, let's just roll. And he kind of manages to convince them all.
Yeah. Dave, can I ask you a question?
You sure can.
In the show, do they ever refer to Koichiro as Ko? Or are you just giving him a nickname because you don't feel like saying it every time?
Oh, you know what? I wrote it in my... No, they don't ever refer to him as Ko. I wrote that in my notes because it's faster, because Koichiro is like a lot of letters, as if you're trying to take notes. And so, no, I that's just because I was reading my notes.
Okay, I wanted to A, make sure I hadn't missed anything, and B, make sure I was not just like getting confused, Because whenever you
no.
because
Sorry,
whenever
I
you
will...
say Ko, my mind immediately jumps back 5 seasons for like a split second, and I think we're talking about the guy from Ranger.
No, they only ever refer to him as Kuichiro. So Kuichiro wakes up, and there's a computer with a note, and it turns out the note is benign, but he does just like straight open it up and read it. And I was like, my dude, did you not just deal with like a psycho-possessed woman who murdered a dog because she just was like on the internet? Maybe please exercise some caution.
Right, because they did not write their note down. They like programmed it into a slideshow on a laptop that they sat next to his bed.
Yeah. So,
and the note says like, hey, you get some rest. We'll go take care of this ourselves. We will meet with you later.
Yeah.
He immediately calls them on the communicators like, you idiots. Like, all 5 of us have to be together. Where are you? Like, we were told earlier that, like, being a Megaranger doesn't work nearly as well if we're not at full strength. So, like, you shouldn't have gone up without me. Where did you go? They say, like, don't worry about it. We found the building. We're here now. We're just about to walk into this room that's definitely not a trap. We've tracked them on our computer. It was super easy.
Right, and Kuchiru's like, there's 100% no way they would have let you track them that easily. This is definitely a trap, and of course it is.
Right.
So as soon as they walk into the room, it sort of like dissolves into like a weird digital hellscape.
Right.
And they are being like attacked by Chameleon Nezare. One thing I will say, not terribly interesting names this time around.
Yeah, so
like,
far
it's
been,
convenient.
what, like Stingray Nezare, Rhino Nezare, and Chameleon Nezare?
Yeah, now the upside of this is that I don't have to write down for the monsters like a short descriptor, because for Car Ranger, the monster names made no sense. Like, they were just random syllables, at least to me.
Yeah.
So calling it Chameleon Nezare does help. I feel like Ranger was good, because all the names of all the monsters were descriptive, but also imaginative, and that really worked. So anyways, they're being attacked by Chameleon Nezare. He's like blasting fire at them, and they're like, oh, this is terrible, and they're all freaking out, which is totally reasonable.
Sure.
Kuichiro is like, I've got to get there. And so he like runs up on the roof, changes into Mega Black, and uses his satellite powers, because that's his thing. He is like the satellite ranger, and he does a satellite search, and he searches the entirety of Japan in like 3 seconds and pinpoints where all the signals are actually coming from.
Yeah, and the way that he does it is like, okay, this is an abandoned building that has a bunch of like extra phone lines running to and from it. So like that must be where it's all happening. So he hops on his rocket ship surfboard, and he flies over, doesn't break in through the window, crashes in through the roof into the room where Chameleon Nezare and Shibolena are standing.
Yeah, dude. This is a super strong couple of moments here. Kuichiro. So Kuichiro arrives, and he's like, Megaranger will always find you. Like, you can't do this. And then there's a sick fight between him and Chameleon Nezare. Like, there's a lot of cool camera angles. Like, the action is really neat. Like, it's well choreographed. They're, like, jumping around, doing all sorts of stuff. And then Chameleon Nezare does, like, an arm wiggly. I don't know what it is with these shows. Like, anytime somebody turns invisible, they have to do, like, a little arm wiggle, and then they disappear.
Well, that's how you turn invisible.
Yeah. So it's just invisibility. It's not improved invisibility. It does drop anytime he takes an offensive action, and then he has to like recast it.
Now, at this point, they are no longer in the building because Chameleon Nezare has thrown Koichiro out the window, out of like a 3rd-story window into an alleyway. So now they're fighting outside the building, which is amazing. Also, like, Koichiro, this just goes to show how much stronger they are when they transform into the Mega Rangers, because Koichiro got knocked out by, like, his teacher pushing him into a wall 30 minutes ago. And now he is, like, thrown through a window, dropped 3 floors onto concrete, and gets up to continue the fight.
Yeah, so he does manage to, like, get in enough licks on Chameleon Nezare that the Oh, no, that doesn't happen yet. Sorry, we flash back to the Rangers. There's a lot of fire. It's very bad. Mega Black goes down. And he's like, oh no, like, my friends, they're in danger. I'll win this fight all by myself if I need to. And he gets back up. It's a great moment. Chameleon Nezare is still invisible. And he goes, and he says, I'll use satellite megavision. And there's like a very cool, like, there's like, you can sort of like see a spotlight kind of coming out of his forehead, out of his like visor, I guess, and he's looking around, and then he sees Chameleon Nezare, and it breaks the illusion spell, and they both stand at each other, and they both pull out their, well, Chameleon Nezare just like blasts him, but Mega Black has like a blaster, and they blast each other. There's like a simultaneous explosion. When that happens, the Rangers are like shifted out of their digital trap, and then we see them. We see Chameleon Nezare and Mega Black, and they're both just standing there, and then Mega Black collapses.
Yeah. And I actually, for a moment, I was like, oh man, that's a shame that he wasn't able to do this. But I really like it because earlier in the episode, he was like, no, we all need to be together. And in this moment, he's like, well, I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to beat them on my own because the other four aren't here. And
like, because I need to.
Yeah, because like I need to. But then he can't, obviously, because they all need to be together because that's the point of this episode.
Yeah. Dude, it's pretty rad. He's still trying to get up. Chameleon Nezare like runs over and just says, I'm gonna beat you to death. I am always slightly taken aback by like the specificity of violence that the monsters in these shows tend to do. And like maybe there's something in the translation, I don't know. But like I don't ever remember anybody in a children's show when I was watching, when I was a kid, uttering the line, I'm going to beat you to death.
No, but I think American TV was specifically avoided saying stuff like that. Yeah. Like they always had to say that like someone was going to be destroyed. That was a big thing that they would say to like get around saying killed. And especially when we were in high school and we would watch like Gundam Wing on Toonami. Like,
oh yeah, there was a lot of destroys in there.
Everyone was always getting destroyed, or like you would see a plane get blown up, and someone would just dub in the line like, "Oh, good, I can see that the pilots escaped and are parachuting away."
So, but Ko is still fighting. Ko's like he's down. He's pretty much down for the count, but he's still fighting. It's rad. He's about to get coup de grace, and the other Rangers jump in, and they all pull out their new weapons, and there's just like hit.
Yeah.
Chameleon Nezare is reeling, and then
they all plug their individual weapons into okay, so Kenta says we need to combine our weapons, and I think, oh great, they're going to put all of their weapons into one big gun. That is not what happens. What happens is they each individually... They even
use the phrase, unite our weapons.
Yeah. It's very I mean, what they do is actually kind of cool, but it was ultimately disappointing because it's not what I was hoping for. They all plug their individual weapons into their blasters. And, like, turn them into, like, rifle things instead. It's kind of cool. It's not as cool as a bunch of weapons turning into one weapon.
I'm still hoping for like a big combo shot. Anyways, they apologize right before this. They're like, "Dude, we're so sorry. You were right." And Ko's like, "No, I'm sorry because like I couldn't save everybody." And they're like, "Dude, no, that's the point. You were right. Like we need to all five be here. Like we will. You know, we'll get this." So then they blast him. He falls, and the Chameleon Nezare, when he falls, the explosion that triggers is like, the timing of it was really funny because it explodes like right as he hits the ground, and so it really just looks like that dude was like loaded up with nitroglycerin. So anyways, BBDB shows up and he makes him giant. I still hate BBDB, and then they're like, we should use Galaxy Mega, and Koichiro says that as though like there's a different option. Like as though they have another, like they could do something else to fight this giant chameleon monster. But yes, of course, they should summon Galaxy Mega.
So again, they fly into space.
They fly all the way up into space. Chameleon Nezare is extraordinarily patient here. He's very kind to wait for them. Because, this is a very long
They
sequence.
fly to space. They transform the mega ship into Galaxy Mega. They experience re-entry.
Dude, that re-entry shot, it's like I said, I mentioned it last week. He's got this big shield, and he's sort of like charging forward in like a real Jack Kirby pose, and the shield is a heat shield as it's re-entering atmosphere. It's a rad shot.
It's a
and
rad
I was
shot.
thinking,
Here's the one problem with it, though. The most devastating attack that they could possibly do is just land, go through
land
re-entry
from there.
and land on him. But instead, they land like a few blocks from him and then turn around and punch him. Which is cool, but you could just flatten the dude. You're falling from space.
So I feel like I was thinking about this when I was watching it. I said, this is good TV. Like, this is good. It's good. It's prudent to establish like a really long transformation sequence early on in the series so that you've kind of got it to fall back on if you need it later on.
Yeah.
Really trying to pad an episode out. So they do. This is the second time this has happened, which is Galaxy Mega lands, and he lands with his back to the monster, which is a real flex. I really dig it. And then Chameleon Nezare runs up on Galaxy Mega, and he turns over spins and punches him in the face right at the moment. And then what's the move he pulls out? It's like a very
summon
cool...
the sword. But then they turn the sword into an energy whip thing.
Yeah, it's like a saber electromagnetic whip. And then they whip him, and then it turns into an extending rapier. It just shoots forward and lances him. And then they just do their mega side cut, and that's it. So
again, Galaxy Mega, strong Megazord.
Yeah, we do sometimes early in a season, the fights will be sort of up and down, oh man, good thing we finished this robot just in time because these monsters are really tough. Galaxy Mega is not having that problem.
Yeah.
He is apparently degrees more powerful than all the monsters that he's fighting. So we go from there back to Ko. He's up on the roof. He's despondent. The Rangers arrive. He's crying. They look over. They're like, dude, what's going on? They walk over, and he's like, guys, I'm so sorry. If I had been more careful, not you guys all would have been fine. None of this would have happened. You wouldn't have been in danger. I'm so sorry.
And then they're like, dude, no, you were right about...
You literally saved all of us.
You were right about everything, and you saved us all. This was all our fault. So, do not even worry about it, my man. And, he and Kenta get into an argument because both of them are trying to take the blame. Until eventually, I think it's Chisato breaks them up. Is that right?
Yeah. I believe so.
And she's like, listen... It's fine. We don't need to argue about this. We just need
we're all
we just need to be together. That's just, we need to just always be together. And I think she means A, in proximity, and to B, sort of in spirit, right? Mm-hmm. And they both agree. They're like, yes, okay, now it's time to always be together. And Koichiro is like, yes, and to follow my schedule. From earlier. Remember the thing you all hated? Time to do some push-ups, folks.
And they're like, what? No. And then they're all like, no, come on. Let's, we're trying to make him feel better. And then they all do start doing the push-ups. And Kenta keeps trying to slip away. And I think it's Miku keeps pulling him back down to do the push-ups.
It's very funny. And that's the end of the episode.
It is. That is the end of the episode, Matt, but it's not the end of our episode.
No, Dave, because first we need to determine where Chameleon Nezare lands in the Creature Royale.
Well, I gotta say, so far, I think Chameleon Nezare is actually pretty cool.
He is the strongest of the ones we've had so far.
Yeah.
Now, the immediate point of comparison, of course, is Hammer Chameleon.
Oh, see, I was thinking Camera Dimension.
Well, he's kind of both. But I don't think he's as good as either.
No, he's not quite as good as either. So Camera Dimension is spot 149. And
Hammer Chameleon is number 21.
Hammer Chameleon is a very, very good monster.
Yeah, I did not remember he was that high.
He's a very good monster, and he's in a very good episode. So I think Camera Dimension is the spot to start.
Yeah, okay. You said that was number 121?
149, actually.
149.
Yeah, so Camera Dimension is pretty rad. Just above him is BB Koya the gardener and ZZ Giri the guy who super loves kimchi.
Oh, that guy did love kimchi.
And then just below Camera Dimension is the scandal photographer, FF Manchori, who I hated, and then Bara Tarantula, who I didn't love.
Okay, so he's definitely...
He's definitely better than FF Manchori.
Yeah, he's definitely better than FF Manchori. Do we think he's better than Camera Dimension? I know we've got a lot of like camera-themed things right here.
So Camera Dimension was from Jetman, and he was like a weird... he was a weird cameraman, and not like a man who was a camera, not a cameraman. And he could like shoot you with a laser, and you would get transported into some sort of like photo album thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And this was also the episode where everybody's captured, and then Ryu, remember, manages to turn his dune buggy into a giant laser.
Ooh, so good.
That's a very good episode. On the other hand, he does not take weird internet videos that possess people to go into like a murder fugue. And he also doesn't have a VGA cable tongue.
Yeah.
So strong points on both sides. I think I would probably give it to Camera Dimension just on like imaginative character design. Like he looks very, very cool, whereas Chameleon Nezare basically looks like a weird chameleon little dragon thing. But he's definitely better than FF Manchori, who is terrible.
Yeah, okay, so let's drop him at the new number 150. Now, of course, we've got this weird lump of camera dudes here. And then way at the top, we have the best camera dude at number 16, Media Magician.
Well, Media Magician rules. So
Magician does rule.
I think this should be taken as a data point that we do not have an anti-camera bias. Just a lot of these monsters aren't very good, except for Media Magician, who, as I did mention, rules.
Yeah. And again, that's number 150 out of 185, I think.
Is that terrible? It's not a terrible showing. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so that then is going to do it for another episode of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to check out anything that we're talking about on Twitter, we are on there at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. If you'd like to rate and review on there, that would be swell of you, or just tell a friend. That would be doubly swell of you. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. If you'd like to listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do that all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.